Philippines in the house! Konbanwa. Konbanwa. Filipino Freelancer is a channel on YouTube making videos about freelancing, video editing, and video strategy. The channel aims to provide value to viewers through tips and tutorials. There really is no script, it's just me writing down my thoughts on an outline and trying as best as I can to speak about the topic. In this video, we're doing a video editing breakdown and a video editor reacts to a Terrace House episode. If you guys don't know, Terrace House is a reality show based in Japan, which is currently on Netflix right now. They put 3 boys and 3 girls into one house. They provide the house, they provide the car, and they watch them interact. There are no tasks, there's no challenges, there's no big brother telling them what to do. They are free to leave the house anytime they want. It's basically just us watching them interact with each other and go through their daily lives. I saw an article about Terrace House on why it's so addictive, and the headline basically said, "Finding meaning in the mundane." It's basically watching normal people go through their normal lives, their normal day jobs, and interacting with other people in the house. And something about that concept I found super entertaining. And so I thought it would be fun to do a video editing breakdown and a video editor reacts to an episode of Terrace House. I really like the way their video editing is done. It's very simple, it's very subtle. It's very similar to my own style of editing. Some editors might go for more flashy transitions, more flashy edits. My style is more subtle and simple. I don't want my editing to get in the way of the story. The less you notice my edit, the better that I've done my job. That's how I approach my editing. And if you've ever watched an episode of Terrace House, you'll hardly notice any of the edits. You'll get lost in the story and the way it's sold. So that's why I thought it would be cool to make a video about it. Plus, I just really badly wanted an excuse to make a video about Terrace House. So in this video, we're breaking down one of my favorite episodes, because in this episode, they are introducing a couple of new characters, and one of the characters is very close to my heart. And so why don't we get started with this editing breakdown? Let's do it. So right off the bat in this first clip, this is what's called an establishing shot. So basically the show is telling us that we are in Omotesando, Tokyo, and the next scene, it zooms in to a particular place in Omotesando, which is Coffee Sanjiken, and the next scene is introducing the character as she walks in to the cafe. For all we know, this actual coffee shop could be in Germany, it could be in Italy, it could even be here in the Philippines, but because of the way the shots are sequenced, our minds fill in the blanks and we assume that this is Coffee Sanjiken. So this is actually a very basic and fundamental concept of editing. So if you're doing travel vlogs, you have to establish where you are first, then you can zoom into a particular place, then you can go inside that place where the scene happens. So it's very subtle, but I've seen travel vlogs where it's basically just their face and they're just telling you where they are, but they don't establish where they are. So it feels uncomfortable. I've also done this with my own videos where I don't establish where the scene is taking place, and as a viewer you feel uncomfortable because you don't know where you are, you don't know where the scene is. This is a great lesson on how to establish a shot. Let's continue. Showing the details, the coffee, the cups, spoons. So in this scene, they are introducing a new character. This is a new character. So since the members are free to leave anytime they wish, once they leave, there are new members that come in to replace them. And so in this episode, in the previous episode, a couple of members left, and so they're now introducing a new character. So if you notice, they are showing every other feature except her eyes. They're showing her mouth, their lips, they're showing her physical features from the back, but they're not revealing her eyes. It's kind of cliche, but the eyes really are the windows to our soul. Like, you feel like you haven't seen somebody unless you've seen their eyes, and that's what they're doing here. Oh, I just noticed this. So in this scene, they're showing her lips, her nose. They're not showing her eyes, and she's also wearing a shirt of, I think that's Madonna, and she also has her eyes covered. I don't know if they did that on purpose, but if they did, that is super awesome. See, you almost see her eyes, but they're teasing us. There again with her shirt. Again, establishing shot. Goes into the house itself. This is another character, new character. See, you can see his eyes again. So this is the part of the show where they have 6 panelists, and sometimes they have guests, and they're basically reacting to what is going on in Terrace House. And at first I was a little bit confused as to why we need commentators, but it's actually pretty interesting because they give a lot of insights. They give a lot of insights as to what Japanese culture is about and how they expect people to interact. And so this has become one of my favorite parts, watching and listening to these commentators react to what's going on in Terrace House. In terms of video editing, is basically just zooming in on who's talking, switching shots from who's speaking, zooming in as necessary. And so this scene is where the new character arrives into Terrace House and introduces herself. This is where she is finally revealed.
Hi, how are you guys? Good. What is your name?
I'm Hannah.
Hannah. Nice to meet you, Hannah. I'm Bibi. I'm Emika. You're so beautiful. No. Oh, we're gonna live together, huh? Oh my god, I'm so glad I'm here. It's so cool here.
Yeah.
So you can't speak English, right?
Just a little bit.
No, your English is perfect. Much better than mine.
Thank you. You
So-
speak Japanese?
What do you think?
ちょっと喋れるんじゃない？
どんぐらいでしょう?
So yeah, I've seen this episode before, but I watched it, purely as entertainment. But now I have my video editor hat on, and I'm trying to notice the subtle edits. Sometimes I get lost in the story as well, and I forget that that's just a testament as to how good the editing in this show is, in this episode. So if you notice the camera angles, the cameras are all locked in position. So it just switches from who's talking. So here, Vivi's talking, then to Hannah, then to a wide shot of them, of the three of them talking.
ずっと今まで私ずっと多分毎日同じで大体同じ時間に起きてやることも一緒で今
Then it cuts to Vivi again, talking.
もっとなんか人生にオープンに
Then it shows their reactions
いろいろ
to what she's saying. Then goes back to her. then their reaction. So it's a complete picture of what's going on. You're not just seeing one person talking, because we want to see them interact. We want to see them react to what each other is saying. This is basically them establishing who else is in the house, since Vivi hasn't met the rest of the members yet. They're establishing what's to come, or what she is to expect from the other members. Here's another character coming into the house. So it cuts to him arriving while the girls are talking. So it kind of sets up the next shot. So it's another character reveal. The shot goes from down to up. Finally reveal his face and his eyes. So again, establishing shot, then zooms in to him talking, and then Mika's reaction to what he's saying, and then cuts to the shots of the girls coming down. So while they're talking, it cuts to another shot of another character. This is my favorite character. Again, another reveal shot. Starting from the bottom, going up. Tupas. And this is my favorite character. And you guys know why. Philippines in the house! So basically, Tupas is a full-blooded Filipino, but as he explains in this episode, he moved to Japan when he was 8 years old with his mom and brother. And so you can see in his demeanor, in the way he speaks, the way he carries himself, he's mostly Japanese. He's got the values of the Japanese. His full name is John Kimberlu Tupas. It's basically a combination of, from what I can gather, 4 names. There's John, there's Kim, there's Ver, and there's Lu. And his last name is Tupas. But again, in Japan, they switched the first name and the last name, right? So they call him by his last name, which is Tupas. And he's actually, it's revealed after this episode that he's from Davao, Philippines, which is a plane ride away from here in CDO. And so I'm very proud of this character for coming into Terrace House, and he's actually the first Filipino to join Terrace House. Terrace House has had a lot of previous seasons rather, and he's the first Filipino to join. And so when I watched this episode, I finally had somebody to root for that was from my country. And I doubt that since he's been there when he was 8 years old and he's now 22, he can probably still understand the dialect or the local language, but I'm not sure if he'd be able to speak it. As you can see, his Japanese is excellent. It's native level, really. And who wouldn't be if you were there for more than 12 years, 14 years to be exact. A lot of things going on in this scene, so if I were to dig deep into this episode, into the editing, so you have Kai, who is 25 years old, who's older. He's on the top bunk, and while he's talking to Tupas, who is his younger, in the shot before, he said, "Go ahead and choose your bunk because you're older." It shows the level of respect that he has for those people who are older than him. So this shot is kind of mirroring that that hierarchy between them. So you have Kai, who is older, who is on top, on a higher level than Tupas, and his view is, he's not talking down to him literally, but his view is from top to bottom, while Tupas, who is younger, is looking up at him. This is just me digging into like the deeper meta of an episode. Sometimes I get lost in the details of, I just geek out basically. So again, we cut back to our favorite commentators. They basically voice out what the viewers are thinking, and they, since they're TV personalities and comedians, they deliver it in a funny way, which adds to the entertainment factor of the show. They also give some points of view that we might miss, especially us as a foreign viewer looking into Japanese culture. They give their insights. They give us an insight as to how the Japanese think and how they value things and what their opinion of things are and what's important to them. You know, they're saying that Tupas might fail in a huge way and set Terrace House on fire, which I found hilarious, by the way. Yeah, so basically that's them reacting. And yeah, like I mentioned at first, I thought it was weird that we had to have a commentary, but it truly does add to the show, gives us a perspective on how the Japanese think. And if you imagine this show without that commentary, it really is missing something. You're left to your own thoughts. You're left to think about things on your own. What the commentators does is basically vocalize what you're thinking and pick up on some things that you missed. So the show is, there's really no script, as they always say in the beginning. But of course, the show is heavily influenced by its producers. So although there is no script, you can clearly see that some shots are set up. You can imagine the producer saying, hey, can you guys please talk about this particular incident? Can you talk about the boys? Yeah, basically they set up the scene, what scene they want. They don't put the words in, they don't tell them exactly what to say, but they drive the story forward. They push the story in the direction that they want. So likely in these last two scenes, they told them to talk about the boys. They told the boys to talk about the girls. They told the girls to talk about the boys. Because if they didn't drive the story forward, it would be pretty boring to have all the members just sit by themselves. So in a way, it's similar to, you know, your reality shows, but somehow their interaction is more natural. And even though the scene is set up, their interaction doesn't seem forced or fake. So again, in terms of video editing, it's basically just wide, showing us what the scene, how the scene is set up. Then it zooms in to those who are speaking and goes back and forth to see their reaction.
楽しみだね。会ってみたくなった。どんな人なのかなと。
And it ends with a hook, something to look forward to in the next episode, where Vivi is saying that I can't wait to meet Rio, who is the third guy and who hasn't arrived. So yep, the end. As you can see, the edits are very simple. The story is told in a very simple way. We're basically just watching normal people go through their daily lives and watching them interact, which is, I didn't know that would be so entertaining this way. And when I first watched this show, I didn't really know what to expect. I figured I wouldn't be watching this long into a season, but what adds dynamic to it is the fact that they are free to leave anytime they want. So anytime somebody leaves, another person, another character is introduced and another dynamic is added to the show. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed that video editing breakdown. Hopefully it's something that you can use in your own videos to tell a story. As you can see, the editing doesn't have to be fancy, it doesn't have to be flashy in order to be able to tell a story. You just have to have the basics, the fundamentals, like establishing where you are, zooming in, focusing on who's talking and looking at their reactions. So for example, if you're doing a vlog, a personal vlog of traveling, you now know that you have to establish where you are. When somebody's speaking, focus on them and show how the people around them are reacting or how the people around you are reacting. It's very subtle. It's something that you don't notice if it's told in the right way, but if it's not there, you feel uncomfortable. So that's why I'm a huge fan of this show and the way it tells its story. For me, story is the key. All the other elements are like a bonus to it. But yeah, the story is king. That's the most important part, and the video editing is just there to drive that story forward, to help the viewer make sense of what is going on in the episode. So I hope you guys enjoy that video editing breakdown. If you guys like this type of content, please do give us a comment down below, and I'll probably do a couple more video editing breakdowns of other shows or maybe other episodes that you want. Please feel free to suggest them in the comments down below. And as always, guys, I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.